Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another league racing video on F1 2021, this time for PSGL France in the F1 class, again with a grid stacked full of esports drivers. And yeah, jumping straight into the action for Q1. This is the second round of the championship after the last round in Bahrain, where we managed to pick up a P4 finish, which was... It was alright, we were left a little bit disappointed as we felt like it could have been more, so hopefully today we can build on a positive sort of start to the season. And yeah, jumping straight into the thick of the action, no introductions I guess. And here we go. First run of Q1, of course we have full qualifying in this grid. And yeah, here at Paul Ricard, quite a tricky track to get everything hooked up. It's a very technical track, a lot of temperature dependency as well. It's very easy to overheat the tyres and end up with no grip. So as you can see, we have got a lot of oversteer there, just proving how tricky it is in these even completely dry conditions. The grip obviously in Q1 a bit lower than normal, and yeah, now we're heading on into the end of the DRS zone, heavy braking into the chicane, getting nicely over the curb, missing the apex there, running wide, a bit of snap of oversteer as well. So yeah, as I said just there as well, a massive understeer, so a bit tricky to start the session, but the main thing is that we can try and get a clean lap on the board. As it's going to be tricky to get everyone a lap around here, hooked up. It's really tricky. I cannot stress how difficult it is to get a lap even just done here without losing the car, just because of the temperatures, especially through this final sector. The tyres are usually on fire by this point, so you need to be really intelligent with how you drive the car in certain ways, sometimes in the race more than anything. But yeah, coming out to round first qualifying lap of the session, and yeah, it wasn't the fastest, but it was clean, and that puts us P2 only a couple of hundreds behind Jarno. So not a bad first run, and ultimately we're still sitting P2 with a few minutes left in the session to go, so we will opt not to go for a second run. We're going to be able to get through on this lap, a good first effort in the session, and yeah, that means we're going to be able to save a set of softs for later on within qualifying. Now, here's the grid for, here's the results for the end of qualifying one. Very, very closely contested, as we can see by the gaps. I mean, this is even just Q1, so I mean, the level is really high, and it's always really close in these leagues, so there's not really any room for error. Now, cutting straight to the end of Q2. Now, you might be wondering, why am I on medium tyres? Now, this was a bit of a risk, but however, so many people were trying to set laps on mediums, because no one really wanted to start inside the top 10, because no one really wanted to do that strategy. It would take quite a lot of things to go right to get that strategy super optimized, so a lot of people opting for the mediums, and here we are starting our lap on the mediums. At this point in the session, the confidence wasn't that high, because we hadn't really done too much like perfect medium running, so we were just really hoping we could put in a good enough lap in the mediums to get into Q3, and this all depended on how many people on the softs, how many people were sandbagging and stuff. So we just had to fully commit to our strategy and hope we could get into Q3 on that medium strategy. So yeah, now we have a delta up the top right, as you can see. That is for a soft lap that I set as a marker, so that I had a delta. I validated the soft lap obviously because I didn't want to set the lap, but it's just so that I can have a rough idea where I am in terms of lap time going through the lap, as to whether I can get into Q3 or not, basically. And yeah, rounding out the final sector now, mediums should hold up well enough in terms of tyre temperatures, versus the soft compound, holding us way all around the long left, getting into third gear, getting to the apex quite nicely, getting the power down, and we're only 9/10 off of that lap, so this puts us down into a 27.6.
Yeah, boy, let's get it!
Which is P2
very easy
in the grid on Q2.
God, I was so nervous in that lap,
which
man.
I believe was the fastest medium lap. Yeah, as we can see, the fastest medium lap in the entire Q2 session, and that put us P2. So a lot of drivers going for the medium strategy, and that means, chat, I say chat again, sorry. But we have 2 brand new sets of softs for the Q3, so wherever we start in Q3, we are on the medium, so it is absolutely critical for us to get a good run in Q3. So start on our first run in Q3 now. Heading into this really tricky section. Not really getting the apexes hooked up though. Struggling a little bit with understeer, bit of oversteer there, and short shifting, and a massive snap of oversteer. We just killed the momentum through there. Really bad start to the lap, so we've got a lot of work to do to make it up from here. If we want to make this lap count, because we are on a fresh set of tyres, we don't have any excuse not to do a good lap here. So yeah, heading into this chicane section, nice and clean, a lot better than the start of the lap. It's going to be very tricky for us to do a very good lap here, because that first sector's probably going to cost us too much. So yeah, heading now round to the final sort of section. We've got a car on the inside getting out of the way. Now the tyres at this point in the lap just start to suffer more and more. Understeering away from the apex, not really hooking it up at all. And we did manage to get to that apex though, a bit of oversteer on the exit, everything just starting to fall apart now towards the end of this lap. A bit too early to that apex, potentially the rear end of the car starting to slide out. We have no more grip left at this point because we just never really managed to get the lap hooked up in a way we wanted. And as we cross the line, it is a 26.9, which is a very, well, it's just a very bad lap. It's nothing really else to say to it, especially for Q3. Not really any excuses. We just cooked the tyres, never really got any grip back, and made too many mistakes early on. So now it's all or nothing. We are sitting P2 at the moment, but I guarantee everyone's going to improve anyway. So here we are onto the final run of Q3. We need to get this lap hooked up. So yeah, heading through the first chicane, very hard to get that section right, a lot of track limit, sort of worry as you like, only just slightly down on the delta. Probably should have downshifted to 4th earlier through there, but now we're green on the delta, managing to get that apex right out on the edge of track limit, short shifting our way up through here, and critically, no oversteer, and bang, look at the delta time go up. That is us now on a huge improvement already. And we know for a fact we can improve for the rest of the lap because the grip has increased slightly, and also for the fact that if we don't overheat our tyres it should help. So heading through this section, keeping it nice and smooth, nice clean exit, everything starting to materialise a little bit better. I believe we're 2/10 up in the delta, and yeah, we need to keep pushing to improve though, because you know, people can go for a really quick lap in Q3 if they get it really hooked up and they don't suffer with the temperature. So we need to keep focused, keep pushing on, understeer a little bit away from the apex, but we carry decent enough speed. Now heading into this final section where it's really important not to overdo the tyres. We've got a very nice corner there. It's all coming together quite well now. Coming into the penultimate corner, this long left-hander, downshifting into 4th gear, wider apex than before, but we have a bit more grip available. But we don't even make the apex, but we've got to keep carrying the momentum, getting a bit of oversteer on the exit, DRS open as we head to the line. 3/10 up on our delta with on a 0.9. That puts us provisional pole with a 0.6. And I don't, at this point in the actual session, I didn't believe it would be good enough for pole position, and I really needed to nip out to the toilet before the start of the race, as you have to do anyway. But yeah, here we are, cutting to the end of the session. Nobody was able to prove it, and we are on pole position for this race.
He's not even here to celebrate.
And we weren't even there in the session because we had to nip out. So I come back, and all of a sudden we were on pole position, only by the slenderest of margins. So we got a bit lucky, I feel. I mean, I was very surprised that was good enough to get pole. So here we are on pole position. Most of us around us on mediums, except for Frederick Rasmussen, who is on the soft. So he's going to be very good at the start of the race. And yeah, we're in a good position for this race. It's now just about managing it and seeing where we can go from here. And yeah, as we wind up now with the 5 red lights on our screen, getting ready to release, and we actually get a very clean and very smooth start, but we're never going to beat Freddie off the line with those soft compound tyres, defending the inside because of Jarno Opmeer now going round the outside, but we know we should be okay as we can then cover the line round the outside, and that is us safely off the line. We kind of knew Freddie would get us off the line unless something weird happened, so now as we go on board for the entirety of the opening lap, as always, it's just about getting into a rhythm and focusing on staying with Freddie, because we can do one of two things. We can wait for Freddie to go off in terms of tyres, or we can try and stay with him with the DRS, and I opted for the latter. I wanted to stay within his DRS if it was at all possible, had to really commit to it, and yeah, I guess that was really that. I just wanted to stay as close to Freddy as possible. His grip advantage will fade away very early. The softs aren't that good a tyre round this track. I mean, they are only good for a very short period of time before the wear starts to escalate very high. And not just about the tyre wear though, it's also the tyre temperature. The softs are very limited, so the advantage having the soft compound fades very quickly unless you can sit in someone's DRS. So yeah, heading on round into the final sector now. And yeah, it's been a decent opening lap. We're using quite a bit more ERS than we would normally at this point in the race, just to stay within Frederick's DRS, because you know, we are close enough at this point, so we kind of think at this point, okay, well, we might as well just stay within it, because then it should hopefully allow us to recharge and manage our own race later on down the stint. So heading on to, I believe, what will be now the end of lap 2, start of lap 3, and as you can see, we've used quite a lot of ERS. Frederick tried to do the same to try and break away to help his strategy, but we have done a good enough job, and we are still within DRS range heading on to lap 3. We just need to stay within that 1 second barrier for the detection zone, and it looks like it's going to be good enough to do that. So yes, we have now done enough to stay within Frederick's DRS with the soft ahead of us, but we have used a hell of a lot of ERS to do it. But the whole plan was hopefully that it would be worth it, as we could then go with Frederick's pace. His pace would die off quite quickly though, because of the soft compound not being that good a race tyre, as we can now see right on the back of Frederick by the end of lap 5. And our plan from here was just to literally not press the ERS button unless we had to. So we were just thinking more so about regenerating our ERS, but at this point in the race our pace was a bit stronger than Frederick, didn't even touch the ERS button, and into the lead of the race we go, back into the position we started. And yeah, there we go. Frederick's still very close to us though. He might want to come back at us, which it kind of seemed like we are going to go to the inside just to defend, but I don't really. Frederick wanted the position that badly, so now we're in the lead of the race. Now we need to manage our own race. We need to take these medium tyres all the way until the around the lap 16, 17, 18 mark to get to the end on the soft tyres. So we've got a long way to go. Frederick now cutting on to lap 10. But dives into the pit lane. He just sat at our DRS on the soft compound tyres, which was critical for his race. And as you can now look at our ERS, we are now all the way back up to basically the top of the I can't really see it that well, but yeah, all the way back up to the top of the battery pack. So yeah, we've done a good job on regenerating the ERS. We've done everything sort of as well as we could to this point in the race, so not too bad. Now Jarno Opmeer right behind us. He will also probably have quite a high battery reserve, and now cutting on to lap 12. Jarno's pretty close, so most likely Jarno will pass us on this straight, which is, you know, it's not a problem. We've got maximum ERS. If anything, we just want to work with Jarno going forwards in this race. We don't want to, you know, cost ourselves time, because there are other cars on different strategies doing other stuff, and you never know how that plays out towards the end of the race. So yeah, heading on into the chicane. Jarno takes a position from us, which wasn't too big a concern. We now just want to manage our tyres, try and make ourselves go as long as possible into this stint, because the tyre wear is going to be real high. Now cutting on to lap 17. As you can now see, right behind Jarno still. The tyres are absolutely gone by this point, chat. Like, chat, I keep saying chat. You're all called chat. But, yeah, 70... high 70s on the tyre wear, very close to puncture territory actually. So yeah, that's just what you got to do. But we've got to go up the inside of Jarno Opmeer now, because we want to pit on this lap. So we made a decisive move to try and go up the inside of Jarno now, so that if Jarno did decide to pit, we would yeah, we would not be held in the pits, or be as likely to be held in the pits, because the Mercedes pit box is before the Aston Martin pit box. So we made that move decisively. Now diving into the pit lane, and the whole hope here was that we weren't going to get held in the pits. And yeah, Fabrizio Donoso, Danny Moreno, Yori Tormola, all guys now in the pit lane with us. And yeah, Fabrizio Donoso, I believe, getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but we get held in the pits anyway, because of, I believe it was Yori Tormola in the Alpha Tower with his pit box further down. So we stayed out, we passed Jarno to, well no, Jarno stays out as well for context in the race, but we get held in the pits anyway, so that's not really useful for our race. Danny Moreno gained massively out of that. He's right there, coming out right alongside our teammate Shinaka, who thankfully doesn't attack us, which was very good of him. Which is, you know, well, helps us a bit in that race. We said thank you to Shinaka there on the Discord call. But yeah, cutting on now. We managed to pass Ruben. I'm not sure why that didn't show that, but anyway, past Ruben the lap before. We've cut a little bit further on now. And yeah, getting past Sam McBride on our left, who's got a time penalty, and he's also on the hard compound. So that is up back into P4 after all the pit stops have been made. We've got to make a charge now, heading up behind Tomic. Now heading on to lap 20. Frederick Rasmussen has about a 4-second rough lead or something like that after we clear these cars, which is, I think, very large for us to catch with the soft tyres. Even though we have the tyre advantage, the temperatures mean that we really can't close as quickly after a few laps. So yeah, heading up the inside of Tomic now on lap 20. Danny Moreno following us through with every sort of move. He's sort of mirroring our progress right behind us. So yeah, working our way through the field on our fresh softs. And yeah, Jake Benham ahead of us now, using a bit of our ERS that we saved up in the last stint up the inside, and that is us now into P2, and the remaining car ahead of us, Frederick Rasmussen on the medium tyre, but he has a 4-second gap, which is, to be honest chat, I knew quite early on in this race that it or in this final stage of the stint, as Danny Moreno now goes up the inside of Jake Benham, right behind us now on lap 21. But I knew very early on we weren't probably going to be able to catch Freddie, because the soft tyres just, they overheat so quickly. We cannot push up to the back of Freddie. The mediums are very, very strong for a long time. So Frederick being able to sit on our DRS through the first stint is actually probably what helped him get the win as well. Along with Frederick Rasmussen being incredibly talented and fast, obviously, let's not forget. But we kind of, with us doing what we wanted to do in that race, it also helped Freddie. So yeah, very interesting to see how these strategies played out. Fair play to Freddie ahead of us, doing well. We only closed the gap slightly. Danny Moreno now getting past us, because we kind of want to work together with him, not putting up any fight. Both of us pitted in the same lap. We have Jake Benham still behind us, and Jarno Opmia on the 1 lap fresher soft. So he should have a slight pace advantage on us. I don't know by how much, but he would have had a slight advantage. But now that's Jarno getting ahead of JKB behind us as well. So we are still sitting behind Danny Moreno. Our pace on the softs, all of us really, aren't, you know, we're starting to slip away from Frederick Rasmussen. So going on board for the final 2 laps now, we are just chilling behind Danny Moreno, lifting out the throttle. Jarno Opmia right behind us. And it's very tricky for me, because for the second race in a row, sorry, for a second race in a row, we have got the Mercedes to deal with. So it kind of feels like fighting with one hand again, but I'm pulling out everything I can, because I really want this P2 finish. We've drove what I feel was a really good race until this point, so we leave a big gap to Danny Moreno, and we blast our ERS now, with Jarno Opmia just 1/10 odds behind us, and yeah, pushing on a bit, trying not to, you know, get passed by Jarno. It's critical for us to be the car behind Danny Moreno. We don't want to be passed by another Mercedes at that point. You've got 2 of them and they can work together. So it's a very hard position to be in between 2 teammates, I can promise you. We're doing quite good on the ERS, but now our objective is to try and hopefully get past Danny Moreno going into the last lap. And, you know, the aim is P2 at this point in the race. You know, we've done, you know, we've done a lot of things right in this race, and it would be, you know, our objective is to try and close it out. So heading on to the rounding out the penultimate lap, actually. Jarno still glued to the back of our gearbox. I believe there was a yellow flag as well. I didn't know if that was Freddie actually at one point, to be honest, but it didn't turn out to be that way. And yeah, Danny Moreno ahead of us. Now we have to start closing up to him, using a bit of our ERS. Now we need to put ourselves in a position to overtake on this final lap of the race of the French GP here in PSGL. Frederick Rasmussen's kind of got it covered out front. Fair play to him. But yeah, our target is to try and get Danny Moreno on this next straight, to secure what would be a podium finish, a P2 finish. And yeah, heading round, trying to get a very good exit. We plant the throttle and we get a good exit. Danny Moreno still quite far ahead of us though, but we have more ERS, I believe, at this point. So opening the DRS, heading down on the final lap down this straight. Jarno Opmia, and so Danny Moreno's ERS will start to flash. And now we're heading down the inside, and it's all over. And I don't know why there's flashing animations, I'm sorry chat, but yeah, we had to spin, otherwise we're going to crash. I mean, yeah, it was right on the limit. Here we're going to watch it back in slow motion. Danny Moreno losing his ERS. We didn't outbrake ourselves, that's one thing I don't think we did, but Danny Moreno turning in the line, not really leaving very much space. I mean, in the moment, it's very hard for me to even judge what happened because of how quickly it happened, but in hindsight, I would have kind of liked to have had a bit more room on the inside. There wasn't any room on it for us. So yeah, I mean, we locked up in avoidance, really. I mean, if we tried to take our normal line, then we crash into Danny. So yeah, it's a shame because we drove such a good race until this point, but we can only hold our head high. Now we just need to try and hold on to this P6. The tyres are absolutely gone. The temperatures are through the roof after the spin. So it's just about getting across the line. And yeah, it's such a bittersweet ending to the race. We did a lot of things right. We got pole position, we managed the race really well, we took on the Mercedes, but in the end we just missed half a lap. But that is the hardship that is racing, I guess. Finishing P6. GG to Freddie, Jarno and Danny on the podium. Yeah, it was a shame to end the race like that. I still believe, you know, yeah, well, I mean, I don't even know what I was going to say. I still believe, you know, we drove a good race, we performed well, we did, you know, a lot of things well. It's a shame we never had a bit more room in the inside after being able to watch the incident. But anyway, moving on to the next round at Spa next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you in a future video. Thanks for the support as always, and goodbye. Arrivederci.